set up the microphone for emceeing exercise. Okay. So welcome back, guys, to the second Shine workshop. Proud of you guys. We appreciate you coming here. And I mentioned this last time, but the reason why we made this a 4-course workshop was because we wanted to see the commitment level of everybody. Not saying that the folks who are not here have a valid reason of missing today, but we definitely appreciate your time here today. So with that said, I think we have a pretty good mix-up of MC DJs today. But because we have this small group, we're going to actually run all exercises together. Okay? Because like you guys saw last time, some of your skills do overlap a bit. Okay? At the very last 30 minutes, we're going to split up. Okay? Because some of the things aren't compatible. But some of the exercises we're going to do today is helpful in every scope of our lives, in our professional lives and our personal lives as well. So we are going to just do everything together. Okay? So welcome back. Do you guys remember what we did the first week? It's about 10 days ago. Doing warm in here. Introductions. All right.
Third person.
And yeah, we did the third person introductions, and we had one person that's not here, that wasn't here. All right, that's Ken. So what we did was we introduced ourselves, Kenny, in the third person. So I came up and I said, "Hi, today I'm going to introduce to you guys this guy named Mark. Okay, he's a really, really nice guy. Full time, he actually works for the Dodgers, but on the side he does a lot of hosting, comedy, and things like that. And people think he's really funny, but I don't really think he's funny. He's all right, you know. So kind of like that. And you're up, okay? So everyone, give it up for Kenny.
All right.
Give it up for Nathan. He's going to introduce Kenny.
All right.
Yes. Oh, okay. Everyone did it.
All right. So hey guys, I want to introduce my buddy Ken. He's Taiwanese, and he's originally from South Jersey. Moved out here, went to college with actually Martin, and that's how kind of Ken and Martin know each other. Right now he works from home, and he just wants to kind of get out there and meet people and do something different. So that's why he's here tonight. So.
All right.
Hi. Thank you. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to take one step closer to, I don't want to use the word emceeing, but I'm going to start using the word public speaking. Okay? Because I really believe, and I told you this in the very beginning, that this workshop will actually help you in a lot of different scopes of your life. And it's not just emceeing, because truth be told, I was never trained as an MC. I took a lot of leadership and public speaking classes in college, and like I told you last time, I took a theater class, a lot of theater classes, and theater classes are awesome for breaking the ice and breaking the barrier, okay? So we're gonna do a few things today, just to loosen up, and I know that you're still a little tense, okay? Obviously I spoke with Kenny too, and that's perfectly fine. And one thing that opened my eyes after last session was that we all watched ourselves last week, all the tapings that we did. And I noticed that I still need a lot of work. And I love that, because then you can constantly, develop yourself and become better at it. So there are a few things that I'm keeping in my mind that I need to improve on. So, and even this past Saturday's wedding, I tried to improve something, and it was so awkward, and the wedding it didn't go as well as I hoped. And that's because I implemented something new. But hey, I'm not scared to try that. So we're gonna do that. Okay, so I know you DJs are here too, but again, this is gonna help you. Okay, so we're gonna do something together right now. Everyone together. Okay. So today, what we're gonna do the first 20 minutes is actually talk about the key points of becoming a successful MC. Therefore, the first step we step on is key points to public speaking. Okay. Now these notes were derived from some courses that I took, some internet searching that I did, from personal experience, and brainstorming with other people, okay? So the first thing to be a successful public speaker, all right, to be good in front of people. Number one is, can anyone guess what's the most important thing?
Confidence.
Confidence, yes, that's in the list. But professionals say, the most important thing in public speaking is?
Voice?
No, that's second.
Oh, okay.
Number one is to know what you're saying. You have to be aware of what you're saying. they say, for example, salespeople, they talk a lot, right? A good salesperson is not someone that can talk and, be that used car salesman tactic. It's someone that really believes in that product. If you believe in what you're preaching, it becomes a lot easier to talk about it. So when we translate that into what we do, we do those meetings with the bride and grooms, right? We do the meetings with the clients, and we constantly go over the information. I mean, knock on wood for all of us, but I don't think any of our MCs have ever said the name wrong of the bride and groom. Could you imagine if we did that? Could you imagine if we were like, hey, welcome Steve and Mindy, and they're like, yo, this is Elizabeth and John, Like, that's like my biggest fear, because that would ultimately ruin the entire day, and we get fired, kicked in the head, But the point is that we constantly study and have to understand what we're preaching, right? So that's the first thing. So that is something that we can't teach you. Okay, knowing what you're talking, knowing what you're saying, is only upon yourself to really fully understand what you have to preach. And if you know what you're saying, and if you believe what you're saying, truth, it doesn't matter how you say it, as long as you believe in what you're gonna say, the communication happens, okay? And then after that, it's about how you communicate. So the number 2 thing is connecting, okay? You mentioned the voice and everything like that. Connecting is a very general term, okay? But connecting is me connecting with whoever's listening, okay? Whether it's a small group like this, or a 300-person wedding, or a 1,000-person event that we did, it takes about 3 minutes to connect. And it takes about 3 seconds to disconnect. But once you disconnect, it goes a pretty long way, right? It's really hard. Have you seen those weddings or events where you say to yourself, man, this guy just lost the crowd? That's an expression, right? You lose the crowd. That basically means you disconnected. Once you're disconnected, the people lose all respect for that person who's speaking, and that person can do everything they want, but there's a certain point where you pass them that it's kind of done, okay? And here's a fun fact. They say 93% of communication is nonverbal. Okay, who's heard this before? Heard that before? That means 7% is exactly what you're saying. Okay? And there's a ton of exercises about that. Like, for example, there's people that like really just read something really dry, and then are you really connecting? So the 7% is the first point. Know what you're saying. Remember the first thing we talked about? Know what you're saying. That's only 7%. So 93% is this package. This package of this person that's emceeing or that's speaking, that presents himself to the audience, and it makes it a believable, bearable, and a task that everyone can understand. So what are some of the things that are nonverbal? Number 1 is expressions, right? Expressions, just the way that you present yourself. When you're emceeing or when you're public speaking, you have to be positive and positive only, okay? When you come out to the guests and then you say like, hey, I'm making noise, like that. Just being positive and being happy and and believing that you're there for that purpose, it makes a huge difference. If you imagine an MC that comes out and it's just like negative energy, that negative energy goes right through. It goes right through. So expressions are very, very important. So we're gonna go through a few expression exercises later. Not this class, probably the 3rd class, okay? Tone and delivery. That's very, very important. How you say something, in what tone. Tone doesn't mean volume. Okay, don't forget that. Some people think, oh, talk louder, that's better. No, the tone is the comfort level that you're delivering the message, and also the rate. Okay, 99% of people talk a lot faster than they should in public. Okay, I do too, I know that. So they tell you to make an effort to slow it down halfway, and that is actually what's comfortable for them to hear. So when you're saying something, when you're in front of people, it's just your human nature to rush it, because you don't want to be up there, right? So you just start talking and start yapping away, and you might get a few expressions like, huh, like that, and then you lose the go. But the point is that whatever pace you deliver the message, you're supposed to slow it down just a little bit more, and that becomes the comfortable level that you deliver. Body languages, gestures, that's really, really big. And this is also very cultural too. I'm very big on gestures. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I usually am. Some people are not. There's a good balance of a lot and little, okay? Someone that has no gestures, they call them what? Stiff, okay? Someone that has too many gestures, they call them what? Nervous, okay? Because your body, your first reaction when you're nervous is to kind of to put the attention away from you, so you start doing weird things. During weddings, Ellen tells me all the time, I walk a lot. I'm one of those pacers, right? Certain pace is okay. When you start pacing so much that it's changing up so, like you lose the crowd, that's also bad. So these are things that you have to consciously review, constantly look at, and practice that. Okay. There's one more point that's really interesting on this whole communication thing, connecting, and it's distance. I remember studying this in college, but there's something called a reaction bubble. It's called proxemics. Proxemics, that's what it is. So there's a study that was done back in the 60s about like space, comfort level and space. The very first space is a circle of 1.5 feet. It's called an intimate space, okay? So when I'm like this close to somebody, this intimate, connecting is really, really easy. It becomes really natural because we're so close and you're not as nervous, okay? So but then again, how close do you get with someone this close? I mean, who is it that you get this close with? Someone that you're really intimate with, like a partner, maybe a friend, someone that you're really close to, right? And then you take one step further back and you go to about 4 feet. Right here, this is called personal space. Americans are huge on this stuff, personal space, right? At this level, you can still connect, but get a little further away. The next circle is a social circle, okay? And that's where we are right now. This is about 12 feet. So people get a little more nervous, they get a little more anxious to talk about in this kind of setting. But it's not that hard, because I can connect with you pretty easily. Like right now, we're pretty engaged, right? And then becomes the next final level of what we are asked to do. And it's called a public space, which is 25 feet plus. That's the hardest point to connect with somebody. So as the number increases and that diameter gets bigger and bigger, your duty to connect with that crowd becomes that much harder. Sometimes when I did a wedding at this church in Orange County of 560 people, I got to the point where I couldn't reach that end. And that distance, that's stress. You know what? When you're done after emceeing, you get really, really stressed out. It's really, really draining because each person that you talk to takes a little bit away from you. So when I'm in that room, I remember this very clearly. 560 people, I could only reach about 300, and then I lost us 200 in the back. And I was trying so hard to reach that, connect with them, but it was impossible. Halfway through the wedding, I had to let them go. So what happens at that point, you visually cut it off, and then you only focus on the people that are closer to you. And then this kind of just happens. But that's why it is such a hard task. It's so energy consuming. It's so tiring. It's so tiring. But that's why we get paid. Okay? Otherwise, it'd be so easy. Next one, eye contact. We talked about this last time very briefly. Eye contact is huge. And then some people would say, hey, if you're standing in front of 200 people, how to make eye contact? You still do make eye contact, right? And I told you this last time. Some people have that anxiety with eye contact, okay? As you go, it becomes easier and easier. But there's the number one exercise they teach you in like theater class and post-ping class. And what is it? You look between their eyes. You don't look at them in the eyes, okay? So when you're 3 feet or further from somebody, when I'm looking at you, Sam, where am I looking at right now?
Me.
Where?
My eyes.
Your eyes, right? I'm actually looking at your forehead right now. But it looks like I'm looking at your eyes, right? I don't have to do that because I've been so comfortable and I'm so used to it now. But that's really, really important, okay? An MC that doesn't make eye contact is going to fail within 10 seconds, no doubt. Because that's my way of saying, hey, can you pay attention to me for a second? That's the way of me calling you. That's what eye contact does. In the reverse way, eye contact goes back too. It's not just a one-way street, okay? One of the classes I took, the professor said, usually in one class setting, about 25 or 30 people, there's one person that you subconsciously focus on. And that person is your index. So every group has an index person. And that's how I know how the crowd is doing. For example, right now this is such a small group, I don't think there is an index, because it's not something you try. It's not like you go into a wedding and you say, oh, that's it right there. That's my index, and that's my index. You subconsciously pick a few people in the group that tell you something back. For example, if I'm emceeing and a joke was funny and this one person's got a huge smile on their face, that's encouraging me to keep going. Right? And there are those people who are maybe going the whole, this thing, and they're like, oh, they look tired. If that person happens to be my index, then I naturally back away a little bit. So eye contact goes both ways, okay? I give you a signal and you get it right back, okay? It's definitely a match that goes that way. Next one, be confident and comfortable. You have to be confident, okay? When Alan and I, or when the DJ and I, the very last thing before I go on stage, I do a high five. At that point right there, I become the best MC in the country. I tell myself that. Boom, I'm on. And I go out there, and you just have, there's no way you can be effective without being confident. Not overly confident, but confident that at this point right now when I start, it's the best I can do. Okay, and you have to have that mentality. And last thing, and this is really, really big for all professionals, is you have to visualize it. Okay? I spend about 20 minutes before each wedding. I actually go through the whole thing, and I visualize every step, how I'm going to do this, and when I say this joke, people are going to laugh, and everything has a positive outcome. You know how these, like NBA stars, they always talk about that, right? The last shot, you visualize it, right? And it's true. You visualize it as almost like practice. If you visualize something happening really well, it's going to tend to go that direction. If you have a really negative, outcome on the things, then that's what happens. So those are some of the points we're going to continue on exercises. But today, we're going to do the step that's called visualize and relax. Okay, so relax. You have to be confident on stage for yourself to really relax. So there's a few steps that I take before I go on stage, before I get on, in front of people, and we're all going to do it today together. Okay? And these exercises, I guarantee you, they're going to change your life.